Hello and welcome to ViewPoint. Thanks for being with us. Going by the statistics of the World Health Organization in Nigeria and generally around the world, Nigeria was found to rank 5th on the indices of countries who have a high rate of suicide. It's number 30 in 183 nations in the world, and it's the 10th on the African scale of countries that have a high rate of suicide. Today on ViewPoint, we'll be talking with a psychologist and we'll be trying to see how can we curb the effect of suicide in our society. My name is Ifunaya Mafli. Thanks for being with us. And we have with us in the studio Mr. Godfrey Mosu. He's a lecturer, College of Nursing Sciences, Diocesan Hospital in Amechi, that's in Nnewi South. You lecture mental health, nursing, psychology, and social works. So thank you so much for being with us in the studio.
Thank you very much.
We'll start with the first question, which I know it's easy. I mean, the foundation to start. What is suicide?
Suicide is a behavior, and it is an act of one taking his or her own life. And suicide is condemnable, it's illegal, and no one supports it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's just the general summary.
Yes.
What would we say are the causes or the high rate of suicide in Nigeria?
Well, suicide as a phenomenon has so many causes. Mm-hmm. One of the main causes of suicide is undiagnosed mental health disorder.
Okay.
Undiagnosed mental health disorder. Such mental health disorders include depression, ranked first. Then you talk of bipolar disorder. You talk of substance abuse. Then you talk of schizophrenia. These are some of the mental health disorders that probably people that are suffering from these mental health disorders could commit suicide.
So basically what you're saying is that there's a strong correlation
between
suicide and mental ill health.
Yes, there is.
Okay, you've talked about bipolar diseases, schizophrenia, depression. Yes. Unfortunately, in our climb of society, especially in Africa, Nigeria, we don't understand that kind of illness. It's not really common. It's not something people walk into the hospital and say, I have mental ill health, Bipolar, so many of us haven't heard that word before. Schizophrenic. When we talk about schizophrenia, we're imagining, the madman on the streets that is absolutely naked. Yes. Why do you think we haven't gotten to the culture of having that education about mental illness in Nigeria?
Well, one of the reasons has to do with stigma.
Okay.
Nobody actually wants to be associated with mental health issues.
Okay.
So, and if we don't have people that want to talk about it, then it's a problem. There is a gap. Mm-hmm. So people could be suffering from this problem without being identified and helped in good time. Mm-hmm. And people are waiting, the society is waiting for when they will now see this person walking on the streets naked or picking food from the dustbin. Mm-hmm. But early mental health education promotes mental health. So you think with the education, you promote mental health. And when mental health is promoted, people shouldn't get mentally ill. It prevents it. Okay. Take, for instance, substance abuse. Mm-hmm. So how many people are talking about this substance abuse? It's just people give, people are not serious about it. But it's a problem that is coming to society today.
Okay.
And so we need this education. And people who are in the mental health profession should be encouraged by government and NGOs to come and talk about mental health.
Okay.
Because the education will help us. Because many people don't really know. Because there is this misconceptions about mental illness or mental health problem.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, basically what we feel here is, okay, they always feel that your village people are behind you if you're having those kind of problems. Depression is not an issue for us that they think it's clinical, but you're saying it is clinical.
Yes.
In terms of medical personnel, do you think we have the right number of psychologists, psychiatrists? I don't know who else deals with, stuff like that.
Yes.
But those are the common ones.
We don't have enough professionals.
Okay.
The first in the line is the psychiatrist, which is a psychiatric doctor, then psychologists, then we have psychiatric nurses and social workers.
Okay.
We don't have enough. Do you know that in Nigeria we have less than 200 psychiatrists?
In the whole country?
In the whole country.
Well,
and how many millions are we in this country?
Okay.
We are up to 160 million. And let me tell you that almost 60 million Nigerians will be requiring the services of a psychiatrist.
But they're undiagnosed.
Because the professionals that should help are not sufficient enough. Then you talk of other healthcare professionals like nurses and psychologists. They're not too many. So the population or the professionals are not many. And unfortunately, many young people are not, don't like to go into this field.
Okay.
For one
Why?
reason.
Is it not attractive? Don't they pay you well? Like medical doctors, because I know you always have a lot of medical doctors coming out each year, but we don't have clinical psychologists coming out each year like that.
Yes, for why people are not attracted, there are so many reasons.
Please tell us.
One of them is the stigma. We'll imagine that Dr. Onyala. So people who want to specialize in this area,
okay, I
would like to go to other specialties of medicine that are more attractive. Maybe they want to go into obs and gynae, orthopedic, and so on. Then when you talk about nurses, nurses want to go into other specialties like accident and emergency, thoracic nursing, and whatever. So very few will come to psychiatry because of the stigma attached to that. Then another thing is the hazards. The hazards, there are a lot of hazards in this area, in these specialties. Then another thing could be attributed to not having a good remuneration for these special professionals. Government is not. Do you imagine that there is no special allowance for people who are into this field? They are just taking a par with every other person, and something needs to be done about that.
I agree with you on that. I know that in society, in our religious institutions, if one commits suicide, the churches won't bury you. I know culturally too that if it happens that someone in your family commits suicide, we grew up hearing, and I think Things Fall Apart, Okonkwo's story reminds us that they'll throw your body, in the evil forest.
Yes.
And with the criminal laws in Nigeria, if you attempt suicide and you're not successful, you're actually arrested. But I'm wondering if, like you're saying, suicide has a correlation with mental ill health. Are these institutions contributing, helping, and if they're not, how can they help with people who are prone to suicide?
These institutions we have mentioned should contribute. The church should contribute. By bringing the issue of some of these social issues to the pulpit. It's not just the pure word of God. They should bring it to the, organize seminars, workshops where they educate their adherents, on these issues. Then the institution like the law enforcement agents should not, arresting someone who have attempted suicide and didn't succeed, maybe for questioning and referring the person.
Okay, so they should work hand in hand.
Hand in hand, referring the person who will now find out why the person attempted this, this kind of thing in the first place. So it's not like punishing him. They should not arrest the person to punish him or to find out where to incriminate the person. Even though suicide has some criminal connotations, because you attempting to kill yourself it's like you are going against the law of the land.
Okay.
But knowing too well that you are struggling, you may have been struggling with something, and it gets to a point where the coping mechanism is not there, then you choose a way out, and that is suicide. So that person should be referred to the appropriate place where he should get appropriate.
Let's talk about what did you say now? Coping mechanism.
Yes.
Looking at the rate of suicide in the world globally,
yes.
Men have a higher rate of suicide than women. However, when you narrow it down to Nigeria, it's 17.5% for men and 17.1% for women. So you actually find out that, the gap is closed. Yes. Then we mentioned coping mechanism.
Yes.
One, why do you think there's this closeness in the disparity for suicide between men and women, and how do people get coping mechanisms to deal with it?
The reason for the closed gap could be because, we're in a society where what a man can do, a woman can do that.
Okay.
So if men could commit suicide, so women could say that there should be a way out of my problem. So you see men committing suicide, women committing suicide because we believe that what a man can do, a woman can do, without getting into that women and men are not the same. There's a way a woman is supposed to take issues.
Okay.
There's a way a man is supposed to look at issues. But these days we look at issues the same way.
Okay.
So that could be one of the reasons for the close in the statistics of men and women committing suicide. I don't know where. Now, you asked about the way out, isn't it?
Yes, but you know what?
Okay.
I'll hold you on that thought.
Okay.
We'll take a short break now, and then we'll be back shortly. And then when we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. And we have with us in the studio Mr. Geoffrey Nwosu. He's a clinical psychologist, and we've been talking about curbing the rate of suicide in Nigeria. Before we went for a break, we were talking about, coping mechanisms. Yeah. So go ahead and explain. How do people cope with things that could possibly lead to?
The coping mechanism has to deal with the ability to forge ahead.
Okay.
Irrespective of what is happening. What is happening to you, you have this ability to move ahead, not to choose, not to choose the evil way, or to choose irrational actions. Suicide is an irrational action
for other people, but I think the person
for
actually,
the people that are
actually feels is irrational. Yes, it's an easy way out.
Yes, that's the way they think, but to the other people, it's
an irrational. Okay.
So the coping mechanism, like I said, is the ability. You see, we have natural, this coping mechanism has to do with a lot of things. You talked about self-concept about the person, the way you see yourself.
Okay.
Do you see yourself as a defeatist? That you cannot do anything.
Okay.
And when you run into a hitch, or when you run into a problem, when you are frustrated, when you are not getting what you want, then the best thing for you is to kill yourself. No.
Okay.
Then you are not getting it. But the good self-concept is that no matter whatever that is happening, I still love myself. I still can forge ahead. That's self-concept helping you.
Yes.
But there are people that have negative self-concept. So they already counted themselves as failure. They already counted that we can't make it. So that is negative.
Okay.
So the coping mechanism should also come from the support from the society. How does the society, view people with problems? Are they allowed to, go on with their problems? Or do they think the society has a way of helping them? The government, the individuals in our society, those who are well-to-do. You had somebody from, talking about, when somebody loses his husband, as a woman, people come around to find out how to help the person. But if he's a man, nobody comes around, which is not good, Then family support also increases your coping mechanism. So these things is what will build that coping mechanism in you, and you'll be able to forge ahead. So everybody, gets into one stress or the other that could make you think otherwise.
Do you think the way society is evolving now is one of the reasons why people are looking at suicide as an alternative? Now, one of the reasons why I say that is we have become a social media community. You have 5,000 friends on Facebook, you don't know anybody there. You have 1 million followers on Twitter, you don't know anybody there. As opposed when people actually had one-on-one, conversations. Now when I go out, I see a lot of people, they're on the table of 3 or 4, everybody has their phone. There's really no conversation, but they're on their phone having conversations with virtual people. Yes. Do you think this is also playing a role in the rate of suicide that the people are experiencing now?
Yes, it could be a reason of disruption in the family life.
Okay,
there's disruption. There's no cohesion. People don't get to know one another closely as to be able to know even their problems. Mm-hmm. Hanging on the social media, you don't really know the person. Mm-hmm. And it brings a lot of issues along it. It's that you see somebody on the Facebook or WhatsApp, and you are talking with that person, and eventually that person invites you to somewhere, and you start talking deeper things, maybe going into a relationship, or somebody you don't know very well, and you get a disappointment, and you think the whole world is. But if you have known that person very well, I don't think you get to a point of being disappointed. Mm-hmm. So the social media has some benefits to offer. But what we are saying, or what I'm saying, or what I'm offering is that let us also get back to the traditional way of living together, because it's going to help us as this issue of suicide is concerned.
Okay.
Apart from, I could remember that many years during our forefathers, you hardly had if you hear that somebody takes his or her life, then it's a serious matter.
It's a serious, yes, it was a big taboo.
Today, it happens often. It has to do with, it really have to do with the way we live. Mm-hmm. There's no support system. The family support system is defeated. The society support system is defeated. Not to talk of government. It's not strong.
Okay, so we don't have that support. While I was doing my research for this program, I learned that 50% statistics shows that children who have mental illness like bipolar, schizophrenia, and other things can be diagnosed as early as 14 years of age. Is that a medical fact?
It's a medical fact.
Okay.
You can even diagnose psychiatric problems in children. There's a branch of psychiatry we call child and adolescent psychiatry.
Okay.
Or you could even have children 6 years, even 5 years, having some mental problem. But they may not appear like the adults. The appearance may be different. But you could diagnose psychiatric problems in early. For instance, take a psychiatric problem you call autism. That's schizophrenia in children, autism. Mm-hmm. Children that look very aloof, they are withdrawn, they are very cold. You could notice such children. It's a psychiatric problem.
Okay.
Withdrawn children, as early as 10 years, that they want to be on their own. They don't want to join other children, other siblings in the family. Mm-hmm. They remain withdrawn. This is one of the psychiatric problems you could find in children. You can also erunesis, bedwetting. These are some of them. Then this bipolar of a teen.
Bipolar, what does it mean? You have two personalities.
Two illnesses alternating each other in one person. That's mania and depression. So the person could come with manic phase or depressive phase. That's what
depressive is when you're quiet and then miserable.
Depression
What's manic phase?
The depression has to do with what you said now. Withdrawn, The mania has to do with excitement.
Oh, okay.
Over excitement.
Okay.
So this person is on the move. Has no control of himself. Mm-hmm. Has no time for anything. Does not listen to anybody. Mm-hmm. You're on the move. We call it excitement. And that's what we have. The age we are in today could be described as manic age.
Okay.
Because everybody is moving.
Yeah.
Everybody minds his business.
Society.
Fast-paced society.
Yes.
You don't, somebody is dropping, you don't care, you're on the move.
Yes.
You know, that's a manic society.
Yes. Okay, good. Before we wrap up the program, the most important thing is preventive measures, because that's the whole program. How do we curb, suicide in the society? What are the preventive measures that we should be looking at?
Now, looking at the causes of suicide, which we have mentioned some of them.
Yes.
Now, take for instance loneliness. Where does loneliness start? Loneliness and alienation. It starts from the family. You could be a member of the family, you could be a wife, you could be a husband, but you are lonely in your own family.
That happens.
So because you get a situation where the wife and the husband are just cohabiting, they are not talking to each other. You don't know what is going on in each person's life. So we could find a way of bringing, bringing the family together. I remember in those days when we were young, we do what we call family meeting.
Okay.
Do we see here about family meetings?
I think they do it once in a year, December, when everybody.
No, it's not that kind of family meeting I'm talking about.
Which kind? Because that's the one we know.
In your own family, the nucleus family.
Yes.
The husband and the wife and the children comes together to discuss issues concerning the family.
I don't think
it's at that such meeting that the children will raise their own issues and the parents will listen to them. But today is no more. The child may be into drugs. The child may be into pornography. You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know. He's living in his own world. And by the time it blows up, then you get to know, where did you learn this thing? But you were there, but you didn't know what is going on. So that's where it starts. So those are one of preventive measures we get to know. Then another one is we need intervention. Recognizing when people have mental problems.
Absolutely. That's important, yes.
Now, mental problems or mental issues is all about behavior. At least in this part of the world, it's all about behavior. When people started changing in their behavior, there's a cost to find out, why is this person behaving that way? Take, for instance, our dressing code. How do people dress? Does it rhyme with the norms and values of our society? So anything that the norms and values of the society does not support is a misbehavior and could call for question. So that's how we get to know. Then when you see behavior that is outside what is supposed to be, recklessness is a behavior which no
society would accept.
Violence is a behavior.
Okay.
Abusing substances is a behavior. And all these things. So when you see it in somebody, you're able to say, this person may have a problem. Before you go into other clinical matter like hearing voices, hallucination, or talking on the streets, or these ones are the bigger ones. But how about lack of concentration? Even when someone is not doing well academically,
could be a mental disorder.
It could be a mental problem. Even when you are not taking your work, or even when you refuse to do anything. You see young men and young women today, they go about the streets drinking. Go and learn a trade. I won't want to learn a trade. Go and be in school. No, I wouldn't want to go to school.
That could be traits too of a mental problem.
Yes, it could be traits too.
Because we would say here the person is stubborn
or
irresponsible. We have those kind of
terminologies. There is a reason for that.
Okay.
So you need to find out.
Okay.
Then, if you cannot do it on your own, that's more reason why you should take the person to a clinical psychologist.
So what other preventive ways?
Okay, one of the other preventive ways is to, I talked about biblical counseling.
Yes.
Now, this biblical counseling is very, very important. We have churches today that talks about other issues like
prosperity is usually the major topic most churches.
How many pastors, how many of our ministers take time to look into the lifestyle of their members and want to find out why this person is behaving like this? So, and counsel that person, because it's part of the pastoral training they should, they have. So that's one. Then another one is the government should, put things in place. Put centers in place where people could go to discuss.
I think that's very important. Do we have those kind of centers where
really
we have like a helpline where people that feel suicidal can call someone?
Some professionals are wanting to put a helpline where they get somebody, you talk, you ask questions. But crisis centers are absent.
Okay.
We don't have crisis intervention centers.
That's very important.
At that very point. These things need to be in place. So you don't talk of traditional hospitals. Nobody wants to go to the traditional hospital. In fact, today we are talking of even removing psychiatric hospital and having a place where people could go and they will be not stigmatized. But they go there, they get help. Adolescents could go there, ask questions, and they get help. They need just professionals to talk to them.
We want to thank you so much, Jeffrey, for being on the program. I know this is something that people don't really talk about, mental health illness, and I love the fact that you had, tried to relate it to show the correlation that sometimes people who are suicidal could be having mental problems that they haven't been, they haven't diagnosed yet. So I want to thank you for being on the program, and I promise you I'm definitely going to drag you here again. Most probably we'll talk about the stigmatization around, mental health issues. Thank you so much for being with us, and with that we come to the end of the program. It's ViewPoint. Join us same time next week, and we'll bring you some topical issues that I'm sure would like to get your viewpoint about. So don't forget to join us same time next week, and then trust me, we'll have another interesting social topic to discuss with you. But you can also go to our Facebook page and then drop your comments, your questions, and also what you'd like us to talk about, and that is www.facebook.com/ABS Radio Television. I'm Ifunanya Mafili.